These 20 minutes, let us move to a different level of understanding of this leading edge and this wave of transformation. As we have said, obviously, wherever it is you decide to position yourself, either at the leading edge or in the wake, there will be consequences commensurate to whatever vibratory gradation you are choosing to reside in. I will now explain and describe one of the effects that is now going on relative to us and others like us with respect to this vibrational wave of your leading edge of critical mass consciousness. Some time ago, in terms of time as you count time, we told you that things would be speeding up, and that if you did not align yourself very rapidly with your true passion, it's not that you couldn't do it later, but that you would make it more difficult to do later because you would feel that you had to hurry up and catch up, and there would be more details for your rational mind to have to deal with and integrate in order for you to match the frequency of the now accelerating leading edge of that wave. Here is another example of what we mean by that, and why it is so important, if you wish to be true to yourself, to really let yourself go to ride that leading edge and not hang back. But again, it's up to you. But here is another effect with respect to us. You must understand, we have an agreement with your collective consciousness. In order for us to be able to interact with you in this way, in order for us to be able to impart these kinds of ideas and this kind of information to you and to share with you and discuss with you these notions, we have to abide by the vibrational agreement we have made. As you accelerate, and I know this is going to get a little bit heady, but follow along. It'll be worth it. As you accelerate, every moment you change, you are creating new parallel realities to go along with the change in you. Because every change is a total change, as we have said. And when you talk about total change, we mean universal change. So every change is a whole new parallel reality. Even if one parallel reality may be only different from another by one atom, it's still a completely different reality. Totally different. And as you change and as you make decisions, you go through, you bring yourself through a succession of parallel reality shifts so automatically, so smoothly, you don't even always recognize that that's what you're doing. But you see, movement itself, the perception of movement of any kind, is actually the perception of a succession of parallel realities. This is one reality. This is another. 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 And in between those positions were an infinite number of other parallel realities that we have all just agreed to go through together. And so we all think we're all in the same room at the same time, and that nothing much has changed except maybe that it's getting a little bit closer to lunch. But you see, for as many of you as are quote-unquote in the room, there are that many rooms, literally distinctly different rooms. And each of you is actually creating that room and all the people in it in your universe, just as someone else is agreeing to create that room and all the people in it in their universe. And those two points of view will actually not only be slightly different as points of view, they will not actually be different points of view of the same room at all. They will be points of view of completely different parallel reality rooms. The only reason you have a common experience at all is that you agree to in any way, shape, or form. But here is the thing. As you upgrade, as you levitate your frequency, as you raise it up and enlighten yourself and create parallel realities, shift yourself to parallel realities that are more representative of that change, then as we have said, certain things will no longer be experienced or perceived by you because they are simply no longer of the vibration of the new reality you have shifted to. This, we believe, we think, we suppose, we assume, you all kind of get. But what you may not realize is that our agreement with your higher consciousness allows us to interact with you in certain ways on certain levels. But when you shift yourself to another level, you are then allowed to perceive that aspect of us that has made the agreement to interact with you on that level. But if you don't shift to that level, you will not perceive that aspect of us that has agreed to interact with anyone on that level. And as things change, and as the leading edge of your collective consciousness moves forward toward critical mass, a lot of the positions farther down the line in the wake of the leading edge are vibrationally no longer representative of our ability to interact. And so, for anyone staying in those vibrations, we and all such information will begin to unplug and disappear from your reality as we move up the line. That's why we urge you to keep pace with us. Because if you experience that sensation of being left behind, it's not because we're leaving you behind. It's because you're choosing to be left behind. Because we are not in control of this. You are. It's your consciousness determining these different gradients within the collective wake behind the leading edge. We cannot and are not allowed to and are not in control of interacting at those points farther down the line anymore. We have no say in it. When your collective consciousness determines that somewhere far down the wake is no longer vibrationally conducive to the vibration of our interaction with your consciousness in that state, then it is your collective consciousness that is making that reality experience happen. We cannot control that. We do not control that. We are not leaving anyone behind. You are choosing to be left behind if you no longer experience us or information of this nature in those states. That's why we urge you, come with us. Come with us. We are always inviting you to come with us. But coming with us means you must change. Because where we are all going, the you have been cannot exist. So we are constantly inviting you to come with us. If you don't come with us, it's not because we have left you out. It's because you have. We don't wish you to. That's why we constantly invite you to change and are constantly reflecting the nature of that change so that when you pick up on it and when you match our frequency, you can change in that way and be equals with us on that level and move forward toward more and more and more and more and more crystallized realization and manifestation of contact, wherein we will then be on a similar enough vibratory level that we can simply continually interact from that point forward. But if you don't move forward through what you may perceive to be changes you don't want, you will not be able to actually experience that reality, and you will no longer be able to experience us or anything like us, because we will simply no longer be germane for the gradient in which you have chosen to remain. Ooh, that rhymed. This is the nature of our agreement with your collective consciousness. So it's out of our hands, and that's why we've always said it's completely up to you. Completely up to you. But things are accelerating. Things are changing. That's the reason why you perceive changes in us. Changes in our agenda. Changes in our accessibility, our availability. Come with us. Come with us and learn new ways of accessing what we are, what you are, what the universe is. And then you will know you are never cut off. You are never left behind. You are never out of touch if you don't prefer to be. But the physical mind may say, again with its rational self, but I want to be in touch this way or that way. But that may not be conducive to the leading edge. Therefore, in its insistence to be in charge, it will remain where it chooses to remain, and it will receive the consequences of the vibration of that gradient. No more, no less. And it can choose to change from there anytime it wishes, but again, it will do so in a different way. And it will not necessarily have available to it the same things it did have when it had the opportunity to take advantage of the things that existed in that gradient for as long as they did. Move with it. Move with it. Ride the wave. Come with us. Come with us. Come with us. We invite you. We invite you. Your higher self invites you to be whole, to be a whole person. The whole secret to the secret is nothing more than just really being willing to be yourself, your full self, and act like it, and behave like it, and know that it's always in your best interests to do so. Always in your best interest to do so. Because that's the definition of being whole. The only way it would not be in your best interest is for the physical mind to make that assumption and behave as if that's true. And of course, if the physical mind believes that's true, then for the physical person, it will be true. And that will be the experience. But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be, but it's in your hands. It's not in ours. We are not in charge of your collective consciousness. You are. So make up your mind where you wish to be. Remember who you are. Remember that you are equal. Let go of the reasons you are not. There is on your planet another, shall we call it, methodology, permission slip, style, technique, exercise, seminar, that discusses the issues of, again, money, as a symbol, as an idea, to discuss all these things. And it talks about the symptomologies, shall we say, the signs, the symbols that represent a certain state of being. It talks about the idea of how to recognize when you are in a state of self-victimization. The three main symptoms that it talks about are that when a person is exhibiting a state of self-victimization, they will usually do three main things. They will project blame on others for their situation. They will complain about the situation that they are in. And most paradoxically of all, they will actually justify being in that state of being. Blame, complaint, justification are the three main symptoms of self-victimization. So if your behavior exhibits these qualities, then you will know beyond a shadow of a doubt that's the state of being you are choosing to be in. And that will not be conducive to riding the wave, the leading edge. It will be conducive to finding a spot somewhere in one of the swirling eddies down behind the wake, somewhere down the line where you can go ahead and spin your wheels as much as you wish. Until such time as you're tired of that and decide to start going with the flow. Up to you. We cannot change that for you. We cannot. It is not in our power. It is only in our power to remind you of who you are, and then through unconditional love to allow you to choose who you prefer to be. But there are always consequences to every choice. This is not a judgment. It is not a punishment. It is simply physics. All we are suggesting is that you relax your physical mind and get with the program. It's up to you. It's your program. And we're attempting to assist you by defining in detail what the program is, so that you can have clarity about what you're doing and what you prefer to do. And so you can make choices that are based on that clarity. After your lunch break, we will continue to discuss the notion of the difference between circumstances and state of being, the profound difference between these two concepts, and how to use it in a way that will serve you. And also, we will invite question, discussion on these subjects so that you, if you have anything rattling around in your physical mind that wasn't clear to you, either in the recording or in what we have now said, that you can bring it up, because we know those questions are there. He said this, she said this. What does that mean? I didn't think it was that way. What about this? What about that? Yes, all of that after your lunch break. So gather your minds, gather your questions, gather your discussions if you have them during your lunch. Enjoy it, relax with it, absorb it. And love yourselves, love yourselves, love yourselves. We will resume this transmission after your break. We thank you. Enjoy. How's it going?
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I'm seeing your messages and videos for some time now. I'm so excited to have this meeting with you.
We have deep appreciation for the co-creation of this interaction with you as well.
I would hope if you could please help me understand a little more about the idea of physical experience related to the concept of being a projection of this consciousness.
Yes, well, we sort of just described all of that in the monologue.
Yes.
So the idea, again, is that there are vibrations, frequencies of energy within the soul, frequencies of light that cause patterns within the soul. Those patterns are focused by the soul in a way that projects those patterns into a kind of condensed focus point within the center of the soul, so to speak. And that projection of those patterns, that condensation of those energy patterns, creates a focal point in the soul that you call your physical personality. So it's projected that way. And because it is projected by those vibrations, those frequencies, then the physical personality perceives the idea of a reality around itself, which is made up of those frequencies. In a sense, it's almost like the physical personality seed or crystal at the center of the soul is seeing its reality projected on the inside surface of the sphere of the soul, as if that is the theater, that is the screen, 360 degrees in all direction, upon which the crystalline seed projects the idea of its consciousness, of its reality outside of itself, because what it's actually seeing is the, so to speak, inside of the sphere of the soul that it is. And that's where its holographic projection plays out, seemingly around itself, because the physical personality is concentrated at the center of the sphere that is the soul. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
It makes sense, yes. But the question is about, I am perceiving this reality in, are you perceiving my reality? You are perceiving your reality?
Yes.
It's
But we are agreeing to some degree to create something similar enough that we can talk about things as if we are sharing the same reality, even though we are creating our own reality. We're creating our own version of reality based on our connection and communications with each other, with everyone, to create a reality that is similar enough to the reality you're creating so that we can create what appears to be a shared reality, even though it is actually different realities.
the experience is everything in the same moment.
Yes. But you only
Yeah.
experience what you're focused on.
Yes.
So there are many aspects of what we are creating that are not visible yet, or may never be visible, because you may not need to create your version of that in order to experience it, because it may not be relevant to do so. But what you call the idea of the future are simply elements of the realities that we are creating with each other that are not visible yet, but they are there. So they become visible when it is relevant for them to become visible, because that's what you're now focused on. And from your linear space-time perspective, you call that becoming visible part the future.
Yes.
And the part that now goes invisible but is still there, you call the past. But all of it's there. It's just that it's different about what part of it becomes visible to you at any given moment in the present.
So what I experience now with you,
Yes.
from my point of view, my perspective, it's a projection
Yes.
of my consciousness. You are perceiving the same, but in your point of view.
I am perceiving something similar enough that we think it's the same. Yes.
Okay. That's one of my questions.
Yes, it's very similar to what you're experiencing electronically now in this particular exchange. In other words, you know that you're not actually seeing the physical body of the channel. You're seeing an image that has been electronically converted into images and sound that then open up on your computer so that you can see a representation of the channel. You're not actually seeing the channeled body directly, but you're interacting with it in a way that lets you know that there is such a being as the channel who is channeling a being like us, but you're not actually seeing the channel's body directly. You're seeing a projection. So it's similar to that idea.
That's actually the same feeling and like information. It's flowing through me. The same thing that I was feeling, it's what you just said. So
Yes.
it makes perfect sense. So thank you so much.
Yes, you are so welcome.
Is there a difference between an angelic or spirit guide or an extraterrestrial
Well, yes.
being?
Yes. Although many of us have similar qualities, and so sometimes it can be challenging to tell us apart. Because, as I said, we have many of the qualities of spirit, and so vibrationally you may still think you're speaking to a spirit, even if you're speaking to an extraterrestrial, or vice versa. You may be speaking to an extraterrestrial that you think is a spirit. You may be talking to a spirit that you think is an extraterrestrial, because sometimes it's challenging to tell us apart. Nevertheless, yes, there is a difference between the idea of an angelic being that has never been physical, a spirit guide which may have been physical in its experience, or members of your soul family that may choose to have been physical and taking turns playing different parts for you in different lives, so to speak. So spirit guides can also be someone who has been part of your soul family or doesn't have to be. It can be someone who, in a sense, is being trained as a spirit guide, and based on their level of skill and their particular choices of what they would like to do, they may be, so to speak, assigned to different people to help them grow as a spirit guide, to learn how to communicate and help people who have chosen to have physical experiences. So yes, there are differences in the way that the beings may experience themselves in different dimensions and different realms, but ultimately they can sort of function in a similar way.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I don't know if now I'm allowed to ask a last question.
Well, you just asked the question, so I suppose you can ask another one.
It's difficult to me to imagine extraterrestrials since I was a child, and specifically the what we call here the grays.
Yes, well, they're not truly extraterrestrials in the classic sense. They are mutated humans from a parallel version of Earth.
Yes, this idea or concept, although I found it fascinating, and it really starts piquing the curiosity of my experience, but it's also terrifying to me. I
Why?
can understand why.
Well, probably because you've had those experiences, you've had those encounters, and as we have explained, the idea of beings that are operating on a different frequency, whether it's higher or simply representative of a different reality, can feel to your physical mind something similar to the idea of the spirit realm vibration, and to the physical mind, when it's exposed to a vibration of another dimension, another reality, or a spirit realm, may react to that frequency as if it is dying, because that's what that frequency represents to the physical mind. And so the limbic brain will react as a fight or flight survival mode suddenly, because being exposed to that energy may make it feel like it's about to die, even though it may not actually be about to die. It may feel like it's about to die by being exposed to that energy. And that's where the fear reaction comes up. It's a survival mode reaction of the limbic system in the physical mind.
Thank you so much.
Yes, there is nothing to be afraid of, but we understand that your body may react that way.
Yes, that concept also makes very, very perfect sense to me.
Yes.
Thank you so
All right.
much.
Well, thank you very much. Aveo.